the Tree Commission. To read through, those are in attendance: George Clemens,
Here.
Phil Hollenbaugh, Kent Reichert,
Here.
Marilyn Schrud,
Here.
Mark Wenning.
Here.
First thing on the agenda is approving minutes from the January and February meetings. The February we toured the new Veterans Building at City Park, so we didn't approve the minutes at that time from the January meeting, so we just have 2 months for you to look over. Let me know if there's any changes that you made. Approve them as.
I move that we approve the minutes from January 2020 and February 2020.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. The next thing on the agenda are commissioners. Anything that any of you want to bring up and discuss?
I think you're doing a great job, Grant.
Thanks, Ken.
You get an
I second.
attaboy. How about we make that unanimous?
Thanks.
No, really, I do. I mean, for the kind of wind and stuff that we've had here lately, and not to have any really power outages or any big stuff down, I think that it's kudos to you.
Thanks. No, I always get nervous when I see the weather forecast a couple days out. So I'm always relieved when the phone doesn't ring or vibrate from an email. I think guys have been doing good work, but I also think that got a little bit lucky with there being no leaves and things like that. After last summer, I feel like we're due a couple storms for nothing.
I'll vote for that too. Yeah.
So just a couple things on old business. That been working on Tree City USA, kind of like we talked about before the meeting started. The May 6th date has postponed. Don't have a rescheduled date yet, but very much like to host it this year. And the last time we talked, we were looking at late summer, or early fall. Have to kind of see how things play out as the state opens. How that might work for Freedom Tree City.
Now, is that going to be Stephanie's call? Because, I mean, you're going to need some lead time to send stuff out. So will she be the one to make that call, or?
Yeah, she will, and I think that will be coming down from ODNR. When things first started to shut down, the governor and ODNR had stopped anything that was on their calendar up to May 1st. So it'll be kind of as things open up to see then that when the restrictions start to ease. But Tree City, I mean, I think we've been expecting about 230 people to attend here in BG, and I don't know that we'll get that many at this point, but it's a pretty large group. So I think that's going to be. We'll probably be looking at Stephanie will probably look at what guidance the state.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mean to sound cruel, but for the most part, and I mean, I'm sort of in that age group, tree commission members are older. So they're going to probably be less likely to want to venture, depending on how everything's going. They might not want to venture to a crowded place.
Yeah, Stephanie's brought that up in some of the emails that we created. I think that's a question probably we need to look at is if it's going to be lightly attended event that we want to have, or is it something that maybe push to try to get back on their schedule next year or the next couple of years after that, a little bit more of the Tree City that I'm planning for.
Yeah. Because this is supposed to be our biggie, 40th. I mean, we were having banners made and everything for it.
Yeah. Yeah, fortunately, I hadn't pulled the trigger on any of that in terms of ordering anything. We're kind of going with kind of a little bit of a generic approach where instead of saying the 40th year, we were going to say Tree City since I think 1980. So there's our shirts or any banners that we have looked at putting up four corners would have at least it'll be relevant even if it's not the 40th year that we're cities. That might help us out a little bit too. Things do.
I'm being a little greedy. I mean, even if it doesn't go on, we still get the shirts.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that was the last thing I did before things started to get postponed. So our shirts are the order's been placed. I haven't heard anything back yet from when they're going to be ready. Everybody will be getting a shirt.
Woohoo!
You know, with this weather, it's a good thing they're long sleeves.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
really.
The photo contest so far, I've received 3 entries. Haven't checked to see where that compares to previous years, but I feel like usually it's pretty light at the beginning. So I think 3 is pretty good progress so far. I can work with Amanda to being spring and so many people being out and about. Do a little reminder that the contest is going on.
Yeah.
We did get some flyers up before everything kind of happened. So the word did get out a little bit that way. So.
I mean, is it just me or is everything late this year? I mean, I've seen a few pear trees flowering, but that's about it.
Yeah, none of our fruit trees are blooming.
No, nothing in my yard. Not the red bud even.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen some of the red buds where they're just about ready to, but I mean, we get these extremes where it's 60 like yesterday and 39 like today. I think the trees don't know which ends up.
Yeah, right.
We have a dogwood, and a couple times it's got down to the mid-20s at night, and so I'm always checking the flower buds. I think so far so good. So,
Yeah.
but I think it's stalled things out a little bit. The last bit of old business I have is Arbor Day, which was originally scheduled at the Montessori School for May 11th, and with there not being school taking place at the schools through the end of the year, that got canceled. The Arbor Day Foundation, one of the requirements for being a Tree City is to have an Arbor Day celebration. They've waived that this year, but we're still going to try to do something towards the end of this week. And my plan is out at Carter Park to plant a tree out there and record the video with my iPad, then try to load that up to work with Amanda to get that posted to Facebook. So we're going to try to do kind of a little bit of kind of a virtual online Arbor Day celebration, planting the tree and just kind of talking about how to plant a tree properly.
So it wasn't going to get planted at the Montessori school?
Correct. We're not going to plant a tree at the Montessori school, but
Okay.
we're going to put it in over at Carter Park instead. The woman I've been working with over at the Montessori school, I'm going to contact her in the fall and try to get things scheduled. Arbor Day there, spring of 2020.
Oh, okay.
Just push things. The one bit of new business I've got, one of the projects that the city's getting ready to take on is along South Maple Street between Worcester and Pearl. There's a bunch of water and sewer work that's going to be done. We're going to redo the road and the curbs on that. I was out today taking some measurements of some of the trees out there. Kind of got a little bit more work to do looking at how those might fit into the project. There might be some trees that we would have to take out in that area, depending how close they are to the digging and the work that's taking place. Just wanted to get that on all of your radars. Scheduled to go ahead this year. I'm going to be meeting with Stephanie Miller over the phone tomorrow to kind of walk through that. Which trees to preserve and which ones are going to be too close to that. I'll have more information on that at our May meeting. Get that all on there.
Speaking of projects like that, on Clay, are the trees that you cut down, are any of those going to get replaced, or since the tree lawn is so narrow, you're just going to let it go?
We've planted a couple smaller trees down towards the east end of Clay in the tree lawn. So we've got a kind of a narrow columnar serviceberry, Japanese tree lilacs that stay pretty narrow. We've put those in down there.
Okay.
So I really want to get some trees back in there where we've taken those out. So I don't know if that'll be this fall or next year that those will go in, but those are put trees back. They won't be Norway maples. They'll be something a little more appropriate for that.
Well, good.
Well, given the fact that I live on North Maple and drive down South Maple routinely, anything you can do to preserve what might be there, because it is not a very pretty street as far as the trees that remain. And I just think we need to be careful how many things can be removed with, or how many things could possibly stay even with the work that's being done.
Jotting down note there what you're saying, but yeah, we'll take a look and there's a lot on the west side of the street. On the east side of the street, there are more gaps where things have come out, have been replanted, but there's smaller trees there. So yeah, I'd like to try to minimize what we're taking out.
That would be great. And I think they made an effort on North Maple to do that when they worked. So I would hope, that South Maple could get the same consideration.
I know I can't remember, because I know at one time we took a couple huge silver maple trees down that area. I mean, this has been years and years ago. So everything's pretty much probably 30 to 40 years old down there, most of them. Hello?
Yep.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm just writing your comments as you're talking.
Yeah.
Anything that would come out of their plan when we were talking about it earlier this year was to be planned in 2021. If anything does have to come out, putting replacement in there.
Okay.
The last couple items on the agenda, kind of an update on what I've been doing work-wise with the city crews. North Branch did this tree planting this spring already. They started in early March and we've planted 112 trees so far. So they're complete with our spring load. I'm not quite sure how things are going to look towards our fall planting, but we put a lot of trees in this spring. And one of the things that bumped that number up was the new Veterans Building over at City Park. Part of that project included planting some replacement trees for what was taken out there. So there were 20 trees that were planted as part of that. That bumped up our number considerably.
It looks good over there, the trees that they did plant.
Yeah. North Branch did those as well, and it's always kind of reassuring when you see that because they know that kind of proper planting technique.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you know if North Branch got the landscaping contract over there for the rest of it?
I think
Like the seeding and all that?
I'm not sure offhand, but I was over there probably a week and a half ago, and they were back over there doing some additional work. So I don't know for sure, but I'm gonna guess that they probably.
Oh, okay.
Other things that we've got going on, Penline has started back doing the line clearance work along the power lines for the electric department. And we've been doing a lot of work over in Westgate. They've been city's been putting in replacement electric poles, and they're going with taller poles, so there's a little bit more that we're taking off higher up in the tree that with the smaller line or lower poles, lower heights of the lines now hadn't been doing before. Been kind of working through that area ahead of the electric department crews, try to make things easier for them. When they get done over there, we're going to be working Pearl Street. We're going to be focusing on.
I have a question.
Yeah.
As they're doing this massive work on the electric and the sewers, and they're already digging up so much anyway, do they ever think of burying the lines?
I think they do that in a lot of the newer subdivisions in town.
Yeah,
A lot of times
yeah.
they'll bury the lines there. I'm not sure how that process works where there's existing overhead. Sometimes they'll go in and bury them, but that a lot of times it seems like if there's a existing overhead line, that's what it's doing. I've read a couple articles, some of the certification stuff that I've been working on. They kind of weigh the cost of overhead versus buried. Buried is nice because it definitely gets out of that line of sight. There's also some extra costs that go with maintaining those, or if you have a problem, you have to go out and access it to repair. That can be kind of a give or take with which way makes more sense, but certainly seems like the newer subdivision more buried line. Older power line.
No, because of the older subdivisions, you got overhead. I mean, the only way you'd have to either trench it in, which would probably damage the trees, or bore the lines in. I mean, that'd be your only two options. I mean, subdivisions, I mean, there's nothing there, so heck yeah, go ahead and bury it.
Well, in a long-term way, it would seem like it would really, improve the overall look of the street, and let the trees grow a little bit more freely.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, when I look at some of the newer subdivisions, there are a lot more choices in terms of what we plant there without having those overhead power lines. A lot of times the tree lawn or that grass strip is wider, so we can put larger trees in. So
Yeah,
it is, they're having them buried just from a urban forestry standpoint. I mean, it makes things a lot easier.
oh, I'm sure. But they are also really working hard on the historical district in the older part of town, and to preserve the beauty of the area. I would think that something should be taken into consideration in that regard as well.
Because I know over there where you're talking about, Marilyn, we, over the course of time, whenever we get a big windstorm or just a storm, especially when we had that straight line wind that one time, it did a lot of damage over there to some of those trees that we had no choice but to take them down.
Right.
So,
but I'm thinking, one of my main considerations has always been the way the electrical crews trim the trees around the power lines. And I know there's been much more attention to doing that carefully. But I would hope that some longer term solution can also be considered.
we'll see, because the electric department, they used to do anything that had lines in it, they trimmed it. And they basically called Public Works to say, okay, we got some brush here, come pick it up. And it's like, oh my, what do you mean you trimmed it? You literally took it down to the trunk. And their response was, well, we don't trim for appearance, we trim for effect. I go, well, that's not a very effective appearance.
Yeah, right. I think we all agree on that. And I have my personal folder of pictures called Tree Massacre.
The last two things I've got on the list is just some work that we've got coming up. I'm still kind of taking a look at South Maple to see what we might need to do down there. I'm still evaluating that, but that would probably come up on the radar or schedule here pretty quick. And then we've also been doing a lot of work on stumps. That's something that we've got some left to seed in that we found earlier this year. We're doing that, but we also have some that we still need to get through and grind, get off things that coming up on the schedule here quick.
Well, getting back to South Maple, when they go in there and do whatever they're doing, are new sidewalks part of the project?
I believe so. I think that might be a step for next year. So I think what they're trying to do, if I remember correctly, work on the water and sewer part. Once that's done, they'll come in and do the street and the curbs, and then the sidewalks, I think, are, last I heard, were in the plans for 2021. That could have changed. Not sure the official timeline.
Right.
I think the North Maple has been done, although they're still marking a few spots, and it depends on how they designate it, because some of the sidewalks are still the responsibility of the owner. Some they will pay for because they consider it over and above, perhaps. But many, we had to pay for ours, and some are still not finished, or the people just choose not to do it. So there should be probably a better approach to that site. I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of people walk on these streets here.
I don't usually get too involved with sidewalks, other than just, if there's a tree involved, there.
Yeah.
But I know that there's a sidewalk commission here in town, and I think they've been more active here. The sidewalk, how to best go about.
Because I know they used to have that 50-50 program where the city would pay half and the homeowner would pay half.
I think they still have that too. And and we may have been in the 50-50 for, I don't recall now, but I know they didn't pay 100%.
Yeah. Because I know it used to be like if the tree was an issue, they would take out, because they go by squares, like, you know how they got the sidewalk all squared off, stuff with the lines and stuff. They would pay to repair the sidewalk that had to be tore up because of the tree. Then if you got on the program, you could, while they were there, I think, I don't know if it was 50-50 what was left, or if you could get a better price if they were already there doing the stuff for the city. It might be cheaper than you going to Palmer or whoever, say, well, we want a new sidewalk. So
Yeah.
The last thing I've got on the schedule is just kind of a update on the work that we've completed so far this year. Like I said, we've planted 112 trees, removed 22 so far this year, pruned 263, inspected 1,150. Got off to a really good start this year. Things have been a little bit different here this last month, just with all the changes that have taken place. Hopefully things get back to. That's all I've got on the agenda. If there's anything else anybody wants to add.
no, I'm good.
Same here.
Yes, we could go ahead and adjourn. Does anybody want to make a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Our next meeting is in May. We'll see if we're meeting again this way or if we're meeting in person, but we'll be in touch as that meeting gets closer. End our meeting now.